see my chest, it's a very prominent part of my physique. But having a small chest, your genetics are not to blame. This is just an easy scapegoat to make you feel better about the situation. So whether you're genetically gifted or not, I'm going to give you 18 secrets to really finally grow your chest. For muscle, we have 3 main regions and areas of focus. Now the next one is a big debate online. Probably one most people are also getting completely wrong, so make sure you watch ahead and you're not one of those people. We're in training volume and intensity. The last secret, which trumps absolutely everything. What's up guys, and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to be going through where you are going wrong when it comes to growing your chest. Now my chest is one of my very best features. This is with absolutely no pump. And my body fat's a little bit higher than I'd usually like it to be. But even so, you can still see my chest. It's a very prominent part of my physique. Now before people start harping on about genetics, yes, genetics will play some sort of part in this. But having a small chest, your genetics are not to blame. This is just an easy scapegoat to make you feel better about the situation. So whether you're genetically gifted or not, I'm going to give you 18 secrets to really finally grow your chest. So here we go on the 18 secrets completely free of charge. Just before we dive into things, these videos take a lot of time with research, editing, filming, etc. So please do smash the like button below. If you're new here, please subscribe. And if you have any questions or have any content you would like me to upload, then please do drop a comment below. So number 1, we're going to go through bench press. This is going to involve incline, flat and decline. When it comes to the pectoral muscle, we have 3 main regions and areas of focus. That is the upper pec fibers, the mid pec fibers and the lower pec fibers. To bias more of the upper pec fibers, you need to be pushing in an upwards motion, hence an incline bench. To work more of the mid pec fibers, you want to be pushing straight out in front of you, and to work more of the lower pec fibers, you want to be pushing in more of a downwards motion. Downwards motion could be a high slow cable fly, it could be a decline bench press, or it could be, for example, weighted dips performed correctly. So secret number 1 is going to cover bench press. Incline bench will focus on more the upper pec region. How high should you have the bench? If you go too high, around the 45-degree mark, you're going to put more stress on the front delts opposed to the pectoral muscle. You want to be around about 30 degrees, which is around about here roughly. Any lower, and you're going to go more into that mid-pec range. Flat bench, again, you're going to push it out pretty much horizontally, but the same rules to follow apply. Decline bench, you're going to be pushing in more of that downwards motion, biasing the lower pec region. Secret 2 is leg placement. Now it doesn't matter too much exactly where your feet lie, whatever is most comfortable to you. But the goal here is to create maximum stability possible so you are stable and firm in the movement and can get maximum power through your lifts. So I would suggest not having your feet out in front of you, as you're not going to get much power or much drive through them. What I would do is place them just slightly underneath you, coming in just past 90 degrees, and try your best to keep as flat-footed as possible for maximum stability. Now the next one is a big debate online, and this is scapular placement. So many people are pushing with their shoulders rounded forwards. All the tension is going to lie in your front delt if they're forwards. What I also see is a lot of people whipping their scapula back as far as they can into an uncomfortable sort of position. What I would suggest is simply slightly pushing your chest forward. Naturally your scapula will come back into place and keeping your chest nice and prominent in the movement. Now the next mistake I see is people pushing horizontally. Now fundamentally, speaking solely muscle growth, there's nothing actually wrong pushing out horizontal. However, when you're horizontal, you're going to put unnecessary tension on the shoulder joint. If you come slightly down, more in line with the scapular plane, you can still get the full range of motion without the unnecessary tension on the shoulder. If you miss this one, then none of the tips I've already mentioned matter. So the next focus is the range of motion. How far should you come down? How far should you go up? Now the main focus is shortening and lengthening the pectoral muscle. What I mean by this, the bottom of the movement, the pec is stretched. At the top of the movement, the pec is contracted and shortened as much as possible. No half rep shit. Come all the way down, fully let the pec stretch at the bottom of the movement, and then drive up. As you drive up, you want to focus on driving your elbows into the side of your pec. Your pec is at its shortest form with your arm coming across the body. Now don't get it twisted, this doesn't mean come up and bang your hands together and bang the dumbbells together, as I see a lot of people do. It's all about the elbows and driving in and really squeezing the chest. As you drive in with the elbows, trying to get the elbows to meet in the middle, you fully contract and then control the weight back down. Just a final point on contracting that muscle. If you have not got your mind muscle connection with your chest and you cannot fully shorten the pec, fully lengthen the pec and really feel it in the pectoral, then you need to practice this. Again, focus on making your chest prominent, driving your elbow into the side and really shortening the muscle. We haven't even finished the upper pec yet, so make sure you stick around for the lower pec, otherwise you can be completely unproportionate. The final one, which I see a lot of people doing, is your wrists inside your elbows. Again, you want to create maximum stability from the movement. You want everything nice and in line, pushing straight. If your hands are inside your elbows, you're going to be doing some weird tricep extension and lose loads of potential in your lift. Now, personally for me, I think dips are the best exercise to grow and develop your lower pec. But they're also an exercise everyone does wrong. So number one is going to be torso positioning. If you are pushing completely upright, then you're going to be biasing a lot more of your triceps opposed to your pectoral. Again, if you want to work your lower pec, you need to be pushing outwards but more in that downward motion. So what you want to do is lean over the movement. Many people put their feet back. You can do this, but I find it a lot more beneficial and a lot more stable to keep your feet out in front of you so you can lean over the movement and balance and stabilize yourself. You don't want to lean so far over that you're putting all the tension onto your front delt. But you do want to lean forward, keep your scapula back. Again, when I say scapula back, I'm not saying whip it all the way back so you're really uncomfortable. I'm just saying make your chest more prominent, push it out, your scapula comes back, and then as you go, you focus on the bottom of the movement. Put it all the way down. Again, don't go past your elbow being level with your shoulder. As soon as you go past this, all the tension will come onto the front delt. So you want to go to the bottom of the motion, get in line, fully lengthen the pectoral muscle, and then drive up. As you drive up, we have the same concept as when you are bench pressing. I know you're locked in place, in position, but you want to focus on really driving your elbows towards each other as you push up and really contract and shorten the pec as much as possible. Just like a bench press, 90% of the way up is completely fine. If you look out at the top, you're just doing a weird tricep extension opposed to keeping attention on your chest. Flies, not one of my favorite movements, but it's very popular, so I thought I'd put it in here. Probably one most people are also getting completely wrong, so make sure you watch ahead and you're not one of those people. So first of all, low to high or high to low. So if you're pushing low to high, what you're focusing on is your upper pec region, as what you're doing is pushing in line with the muscle fibers and really contracting that upper chest. If you are pushing high to low, again, what you're doing is pushing in line with the lower pec fibers and pushing in a downwards motion, contracting the lower pec. Width. Now, it doesn't really matter on what width cables you are using. You'll either be working these more and putting more tension on a shortened position or a lengthened position. Feet or torso positioning. Again, it's kind of irrelevant, but you just want to create maximum stability. I'd recommend 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, staying nice and stable. You want to then again make your chest nice and prominent. You don't want your back arched over or your shoulders rolled forward. You want to make sure your chest is nice and prominent, your scapula is retracted, and then continue with the movement. Another common mistake, and probably the most common mistake I see on these, are people with their arms completely bent or bending their arms as they're coming up. You just turn this into more of a bicep curl. So if your arms are solely bent, one, you're kind of limited, but if your arms are completely straight, you're also kind of limited. I recommend just somewhere in between, keeping them nice and stable. Your arms do not bend during the movement, they stay in place, and the focus is coming up, shortening the pectoral. Range of motion is exactly the same. You want to make sure you are fully lengthening the pec, so going back as far as you can to get a full stretch and then fully shorten. There's no point coming to here. You want to really drive your elbow into your chest, shorten as much as possible before controlling the eccentric all the way back down. Now, the reason I don't particularly like flies and do not program them currently personally, reason being is they're limited on progression. It's very hard to get to a stage where you have 40-50 kilos each side and you're doing a fly with perfect form. It's not really going to happen. So what I would prefer to do is, however, you don't just have to use a cable machine solely for flies. You can use them for a pressing movement, which is actually probably superior, which gets me on to my next big secret that you probably haven't heard and no one seems to really talk about. And that is barbells, dumbbells, cables. What's going to be better to program into your workouts for these movements? Now let's start with barbell. Now barbells are a great piece of equipment for stability. You're nice and stable, you're equally balanced, it's easy to set up, and a lot of people just have it as their go-to. However, what is limiting is the range of motion. You're locked in place on that bar. It's very hard to fully lengthen out and then fully contract and drive them elbows in on the movement. It's also difficult to lift within the scapular plane, creating a lot more tension on that shoulder. I'm not saying barbells are bad or a movement or exercise you shouldn't incorporate. All I'm saying is dumbbells would be superior to this, just because you have a lot more free range of motion, you can push in line with the scapular plane, and you can also get a way better contraction on your chest. However, trumping dumbbells is cables, for the simple reason of you still get the benefits of freedom of movement with cables. However, what you also get is constant time under tension. Now with dumbbells at the bottom of the movement and even at the top of the movement, if you come up too far, you're sort of resting as there's not much tension, it starts to fall off. However, doesn't matter where you are in the movement, you've constantly got that pulling cable and that weight on you, which means you're going to have better tension and with the freedom that you get on dumbbells. The last secret, which trumps absolutely everything we've gone over so far. Don't get me wrong, this secret alone, without all the form tips that we've just been through, are pretty naff. But it's an essential cherry on top that you need if you want to grow. So of course we were covering training volume and intensity. I'm going to wrap this up very quickly, but what you want to do is be lifting with intensity on your lifts and focusing on progression. So what I mean by lifting with intensity is lifting heavier weights for lower reps. There are two types of muscle growth. There's myofibrillar hypertrophy and there is sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Myofibrillar is basically lifting heavier weights for fewer reps. What you do is you cause trauma to the muscle fibers. You create micro tears, your body overcompensates, and you build back stronger and send that signal to grow. If you're lifting lighter weights for higher reps, this is called sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. What this does, it doesn't actually create trauma. It actually increases the sarcoplasm, which is the fluid around the muscle. Don't get me wrong, this gives you a wicked pump effect, but it does not cause you to actually grow and increase performance. If you're lifting the same weights every week, there is no signal or reason for your body to grow the muscle to adapt to the situation and stress you have put it in. Here's an example on screen of how you might progress. However, progression does not solely have to be the weight you're lifting. It can also be the rep range or even the tempo or control of certain parts of the movement. Anyway guys, that wraps things up. I'm going to hit a gym session myself now. I'll catch you in the next one. The next video we're going to cover is arms. Common mistake people are making when they're training their biceps or their triceps. If you want to lose fat, get in shape, or get your nutrition or training on point, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, ladies and gents.